Hello, in today's tutorial we're gonna do something different. I'm gonna show you how easy and cheap it is to rebuild and paint a treadmill for your green screen productions. So I bought this treadmill from a guy for like $30 or something. It's kinda old, it's kinda used, but it's good enough for this purpose. Now the first thing we have to do is to get rid of the handle. Now of course maybe your model is a bit different from mine, but nonetheless you have to get rid of the handle. So as you can see, there's a wire coming from the box of the treadmill and into this hole and up all the way through the handle and into the controller. So now we have to cut it. I unscrew the control box that sits on the handle and I pull out the wire that we cut before, and the control box is free. So on the back side of the controller box I tied the cable so the wires doesn't pull out from the circuit and actually break. So now we have to reconnect the wires again. So you have to peel off the plastic from the cable and attach it to the corresponding color. Now when it comes to connecting the wires, you can always solder the wires together. It's more safe, of course. I don't actually have the tools for this kind of stuff, so I just take the wires and I twist them together and I use some electrical tape. I know it's not safe, I'm doing it on my own risk, but for the ones who wants to do it more safe, I'll put some links into the description with tutorials on how to connect wires together. And now when the wire is connected, I have to try if it actually works. And I have to mention that on this model I had a safety bracelet that was connected to the controller box. Now I used a small magnet to get rid of this safety feature because it's kind of annoying. So back to the treadmill. It's working and it's time to paint. In order for the paint to stick to the metallic surfaces, we have to make them rough. So we're gonna use some sandpaper. Now we have to clean off the dust from the sandpaper before we start painting. So the big question here is what color to use. When I went to the paint store, they asked me for NCS code. That stands for Natural Color System. And I did some research on which NCS code is more often used in green screen, and it's S2070-G10Y. Now of course it's much better if you can match the actual green color that you use on the green screen and the green color that you use on the treadmill. Now the most important property that the paint should have when it comes to green screen is that it has to be really matte. It shouldn't reflect any light. So there's a scale on how much light the paint reflects, and it's from 1 to 100. So this paint that I chose is 1. So it's really, really matte. So one more thing about the paint, it's latex paint, so it's more stretchy and has more strength. Because the belt is made of rubber and it was going around the rollers, so I thought it has to be kind of stretchy. Now instead of buying a really expensive and big bucket of paint, I bought a small can as a sample and I paid around $8 for it. So now we're ready to paint the first layer. Don't be afraid to use a lot of paint. Since the paint is kind of elastic, we're gonna paint the cables too, so you don't have to mask them out in post. I use a brush when I paint the sides and the front, but now comes the fun part. I saved the best for last. We're gonna start up the treadmill and we're gonna paint the belt as it goes. So this is how it looks after you paint the first layer. I painted the second layer the day after and it looks like this. Now here's a little test video that I made to see if the color works and if the keying is okay. Now if you want to see a tutorial on how I made the ground move synchronized to the speed of the steps on the treadmill, leave me a comment. Now this sums up this part of the tutorial. I hope you learned something about making a green screen treadmill. If you think that I missed anything or I should explain anything in more detail, please leave me a comment and I will try to answer your questions as good as possible. In any case, thank you for watching. See you in the next tutorial. Peace.